We're here for another episode of Clean. No,
No,
not
we're
Clean
not.
Tech
We're
Talk.
here for
Sorry.
EVObsession.
I've done Clean Tech Talk for like a decade, so it's a muscle response. Yes, EVObsession, our other show, Clean Tech Talk, on all the podcast channels here.
That's right.
EVObsession is on YouTube for now. We haven't pushed to put it on podcasting networks, and we were going to do it, but so much of what we talk about is visual, and it just seems weird to put like a show on a podcast channel when you're talking a lot about the visuals of something. But I don't know.
You know what?
Maybe
It'll
we'll
get
figure
people
that out.
excited enough to come to the YouTube channel.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we want people on YouTube too. All right. Well, let's jump in. We have a few just super fun stories to start the show, the day. Oh, and I've updated my computer, and now I don't see the same option for expanding the thing. Oh my, Apple! What do
Seems
you do?
expanded. It's fine.
What do you do to me? Okay, I'm just
Don't
gonna
worry
leave
about it. Just go.
Yeah. All right. Apple's messing with my brain on a Monday. So this is just something Derek covered that I absolutely love. Oh my gosh. It's a Pelican train, cargo e-bike train of sorts. I just love this so much. I mean, we have a lot of e-bike stories, a lot of cargo e-bike stories even, and I like them, but I'm like, oh, it's another e-bike. Here we have an e-bike train. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want this so bad, even though I don't need it. I just love it. I love this. I just want to see it everywhere. Of course, I won't see it anywhere because I live in Florida, but I would love to see it everywhere eventually, delivering a lot more packages in cities. But yeah, that's it.
Man, I hate this so bad. I love the idea.
Oh.
I love the idea, but what's actually going to happen is if somebody tries to implement this in Chicago, within the first 45 minutes, a car is going to hit it.
That would be sad.
Yeah, it's a car is going to hit it. Somebody's going to try to, knock it over. It's just, I love the idea and the concept, but I think this is one of those things that like seems like a really good idea and like a really innovative use of like steer by wire technology and things like that. But once you actually try to put this in, I see so much insanity just with people with like the kid trailers behind the bike, like weaving in and out of traffic, like flipping people off. Like you've got a baby back there, dude. Like you're doing some crazy stuff. And if you make that 3 times as long and put an extra 1,000 pounds back there, somebody's going to make some real bad choices with this thing. I
guess I've seen these more in the Netherlands where they know how to manage everything, not in a place like Chicago or the US where but I haven't seen this specifically. I mean, I do worry about curbs and that kind of stuff with this thing, but I mean, I don't know. It's just a very efficient last mile or inner city delivery option, but yeah, we'll see what comes of it. It looks very cool. Another super cool thing that we won't see anywhere, but I had to write about it and I have to feature it because I absolutely love the heck out of this. It just throws me into like a James Bond movie immediately when I see this picture. It's just awesome, like water capsule jet, boat thing. And initially when someone shared it and I was like, oh, I'm going to write about that. And I was like, I figured it was electric. It wasn't electric. It was carbon fiber, like lightweight, efficient. But then I went to the website of the designer and there is an electric version. There's a zero emissions version. It's almost the same thing. Got a cool little, screen of the batteries there.
Sure.
The thing is, like, it's on a designer website. It seems like you just have to custom order, which is like, that's not going to have any impact, and I'm not going to see them in the real world. But man, if I was like just 5 to 10 times richer,
if I had an extra 0 or 2 on my income, this would be great.
I would so have this in my massive driveway to take to the beach on my free weekends that I somehow have.
Yeah. You could have this could tool around the pool in your yacht.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I just love it. But so it is really cool. They have a, zero emission option. But yeah.
Yeah, these are really
fun. These are just fun stories.
Yeah, this jet boat category, especially with like EVs like from Candela and Taiga and Peter Zinn obviously has what I think is the hottest electric boat right now, and Ingenuity and those guys, Captain Sims. If you're listening to this, your product is awesome too. It's a great little sport boat, wakeboard boat. Um, you're starting to see more and more of this stuff, and what's really cool about it is when you liberate the the naval architecture and you liberate the design elements from having to have that outboard motor or having to have a mid drive stern drive kind of motor, you can really start doing some neat stuff with the design. And I think we're at the very, very beginning. I think you're going to really see some wild takes on boat design and power sport design in the next couple of years, thanks to electrification. So this is a great way to start, and hopefully we'll see some more innovation here shortly.
Yeah, and if we didn't go from one unlikely to be high volume EV to another, we're going to go to a third one. It's not really even an EV. It's a Cybertruck for kids. But my goodness, again, like, how can you not love that? I absolutely love this. It's like, oh my gosh. We have the Model S for kids, which we were planning to get rid of because my kids are getting too big for it. But we took them out like one last ride, and everyone's like, let's keep it. I was like, oh, okay, a little longer. I mean, the older one barely squeezes in there. The younger one, like, okay, she can ride it for another 3 times probably in the next 2 years. I don't know. But this looks way cooler. I mean, this is a Cybertruck. I mean, it goes to show how the Cybertruck is a unique, different beast and how cool it is, in my opinion, now. Whereas the other Teslas are just so ubiquitous. It's like they don't have the same glamour they used to. So I think this
No, but
does.
this definitely does. I mean, you're going to be talking about this. See, this is going to go one of two ways, right? I mean, we talk a lot about the Cybertruck, and it was funny because over the weekend I got so many emails uh, from accounts at CleanTechnica that were people saying that we were very negative, that we didn't understand clean tech, we don't understand the revolution that's coming with the Cybertruck, and there's going to be millions of these on the road. Maybe that's true, maybe that's not. But one thing I will say is we have never underestimated the cultural impact of the Cybertruck and what seeing a vehicle like this on the road is going to do to like the general consciousness of people. I kind of think a lot of the guys behind the wheel of these things are going to get laughed at. They're not going to get the joke. I maybe they're going to be Mr. Cool Guy and walking around. I kind of feel like they're going to be the same dudes that have like, the tap out t-shirts and the no fear tattoos, but whatever.
Yeah, I think it's really tough because it's just a unique vehicle that looks super cool from one angle, and then from another angle, not physically, but like metaphorically, from another angle is like sticks you in a box, in a little box. It's like, oh, it's one of those people. So it's really hard for me to guess which way, if that becomes a popular mass market appeal. I just lean towards thinking no at this point. And the biggest part of that is the price, because there's no $40,000 Cybertruck anymore. There's a $61,000 one.
Mm-hmm.
But then you say, well, all these trucks are expensive and there's millions of them. And it's like, okay, so that is possibly the avenue, is through the truck market. I mean, that's what it obviously is in the truck market, sort of, but then I really don't have a sense like how many normal truck buyers are gonna, if it's gonna be like, oh, this is the big truck in the truck market. I just have the feeling like it's a very conservative market, that even though Elon has like aligned himself very much with that kind of culture, I have a hard time seeing a lot of normal truck buyers. I just see them as more conservative and not wanting an angular, cutting edge sci-fi truck. And some will, and I definitely think for those who like it, it's going to be the coolest vehicle on the road, and I'm going to love seeing it, and a lot of people are going to love seeing it. I just don't know about it being mass market. But then again, it's like the perfect kid vehicle, because like it's super cool and fun and kid-like.
Right. But think about this. The kid audience is going to love it for the same reason that a lot of the people who buy it are going to love it. It looks like nothing else. It's got its own kind of funky vibe, and they don't need to care about the practicality of the thing.
What
And
age, Minecraft like dominated the kids gaming scene for years. What age is like the oldest like Minecraft kid? Like they're in their mid 20s
I think
now?
there's adults that were really into Minecraft. I mean, they were making
But like that like when it like dominated like the kids gaming, was that like, are those kids now the oldest batch of them like mid 20s, upper 20s, or mid 20s, lower 20s?
I couldn't tell you. I know Hobbs is like, he had a phase of Minecraft where he was building stuff and going crazy with it.
And he's young 20s, early 20s?
Yeah, he's 20, 21 in that
20,
range,
21.
but like I don't think he's in the oldest group.
But then you've got to be able to buy a $61,000 truck or higher. And not many young and mid 20s can do that.
No, and then
because I mean, I was just saying that because it looks like a Minecraft vehicle or something. I mean, it's like
oh, is that I didn't understand.
Sorry, it's just sorry. I forgot to say that. It's just when you look at it, it's very blocky. It's like a block like made out of like these Minecraft blocks, which I think would appeal a lot to people of that.
I think the kid Cybertruck actually has quite a bit more curvature to it than the real one.
It might, yeah.
This is a little bit better. But yeah, okay, enough of the Cybertruck. We can move on.
All right. Well, anyway, the reason the fact that we talked so much about it, about a kid's vehicle version of it, I mean, it just shows the cultural impact, at least in the
the cultural impact is going to be huge. You'll see these things in movies the same way that the DeLorean had a tremendous cultural impact without having a huge impact on the market. I think you'll see something very similar with the Cybertruck. I think 10 years from now, I'll go on the record. I've been wrong about stuff on the record before. I would be shocked if this was still something that was going and was in the mass market 10 years from now, but it'll be in movies. It'll be in like a bunch of B movies as like the near future. Mad Max Part 17 will have one of these. It's going to be a thing.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, definitely we'll make it in movies and rap videos.
Hi, my name is Scott Cooney. I started CleanTechnica to promote clean energy and other sustainable alternatives, and for 13 years, we've been moving markets. If we had a nickel for every time someone told us they bought their first EV, solar, e-bike, or fill in the blank clean energy solution, we'd be a cable TV channel by now. But we don't get those nickels. So unfortunately, we could use your help to reach a few more people. If just 1% of our audience chipped in a few bucks a month, we could hire dozens of great journalists and promote all sorts of climate solutions. It's easy. Just go to cleantechnica.com/support and sign up with a credit card in seconds. Cancel anytime. But we'll be sending out some cool perks too, so I think you'll want to stick around. With your support, we'll keep leading the charge. Thank you so much.
We have another sort of record low EV battery prices this year. So if you look just at this chart, it sort of tells the story. I mean, you can see how much battery prices, lithium ion battery prices, this is across storage, stationary storage, and electric vehicle batteries, but it's sort of an emphasis on the EV batteries because that's what dominates now. But you can see how much they've come down from 2015, 2016 when the Model S was announced. I mean, Model 3 was announced. Sorry. And by the time the Model 3 was in production, they weren't that much. I mean, they had come down a lot. They were still significantly higher than today. We had this era, the supply chain inflation era last year, where they bumped back up to 2020 levels, but now they've come down to record lows again in 2023, just showing that the continued learning curve, experience curve of the EV battery industry, and how that's going to keep driving EV battery costs down despite the 2022 and the narrative then.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to add to that. EV batteries continue to get less expensive. Solar continues to get less expensive. Wind continues to get less expensive. All the renewables do. This is something where you're going to continue to see improvement here. You're going to continue to see profitability rise here. And it's like anything else. The more investment there is into technology like extraction, recycling, things like that, the less expensive, not only in terms of financial cost, but in terms of carbon cost, batteries are going to be. and it's going to kind of resolve itself. So next.
Yeah, well, and you can also see here their forecast. So this is all from Bloomberg New Energy Finance, BNEF. So the average price in this year was 139 per kilowatt hour, and they forecast.
I don't know if you saw the right sidebar. We were talking about yachts and boats and stuff, and now the ads are for Mercedes EQEs and EQSs.
It's not coincidence, right? Yeah. So
there's no way that's a coincidence.
Yeah, but next year they're forecasting they get down to 133 a kilowatt hour, and the year after 113 a kilowatt hour, and then by 2030 $80 a kilowatt hour. So just continued massive drops in costs, and that we get more and more where certain models are cost competitive with their gas cousins and gas alternatives. And when you think that Europe is already at 23% plug-in share or 16% BEV share, China's already at 36% plug-in share, 24% BEV share. The world is at 17% and 12% respectively. I mean, if you look at that forecast to 2025 and then even more so 2030, I mean, you can expect that we're going to be living in an EV world by 2030. Of course, not talking about all the legacy cars that are not new sales, which will dominate the roadway.
Yeah, this is a I don't really have
jump to this one because you brought this one up, and it sort of relates to the battery prices more.
Yeah, this is interesting, right? Because they're talking about, CATL creates a fast charging electric car with 1,000-kilometer range. This is similar to that what do you call it, C5 version, where it can charge completely fully in 12 minutes, like 5 times an hour. So this is something where you're going to get 250 miles of range and be able to top it off basically to 100% in under 10 minutes. This is parity with a lot of the expectations of a gasoline stop. This is really cool stuff. It just once again shows how far ahead the Chinese market is, ahead of what I would call the mass American market's understanding of what an EV is. I think we're just now starting to get some understanding that you can charge an EV in under an hour among the flyover states in middle America and all that. Perhaps there's a few people who are understanding that it takes about a half hour, 40 minutes. But, you start talking about vehicles that you can put 200 miles of range into in 10 minutes time. You're going to get you're going to get a lot of people excited. You're going to get some road trip people really starting to consider EVs. And these things are really close. I always called it CATL. CATL is a supplier to a lot of OEMs, legacy OEMs, and Tesla. So I think we're going to start to see some of this stuff really start reaching mass market, if not in the US, certainly in Asia and Europe in the next, let's say 2-3 years. And it's really going to change the game.
Yeah, I guess didn't think about it until you made that comment. We should give the background that CATL is the largest EV battery producer in the world, and it's far ahead in the lead there with a couple of Korean brands, LG Chem and Samsung next, I believe, and some other Chinese brands. But yeah, so it's sort of, I guess over the last 5 to 6 years, it really made its moves and became the biggest and grew and just got contracts with like everybody from Tesla to Volkswagen to even BYD, which produces batteries. I think they might even use some CATL batteries.
Well, and that's worth noting too, that a lot of these companies manufacture their own batteries, Tesla included, but Tesla still buys a ton of batteries from BYD and from other sources.
And from CATL especially, yeah. So I mean, they've been on the forefront. They were working on cell to pack and cell to vehicle technology before Tesla announced it at Battery Day a couple of years ago. So they've consistently been there working on this stuff at the forefront of the EV battery technology industry. The thing that jumps out to me with a headline like this is like, well, you can make the range, like the range goes up with the number of batteries you put in. You can get 1,000-kilometer range if you put more batteries in. But yeah, the point is that it's getting more. It's packing more and more into the normal system, and is building systems around the battery more. So it's building this whole chassis instead of just the battery, or the battery to cell. I mean, cell to pack, or
Right.
cell to
Well, I
to
mean, what
vehicle.
you're offering here is you're offering the ability for other manufacturers or for other companies to very easily get into the manufacturing game. So if you want to put a van body on this, if you want to put a sporty body on this, if you want to put a sedan body on this, you can do all those things very easily. So it's funny, the more things change, the more, the more we get back to the beginning. Back in the early days of the gas-powered automobile in the 1900s and 1920s, you would have companies like Rolls-Royce that built a chassis. They built a frame, a suspension, a steering wheel. They did not build their own bodywork. That went to shops like Mulliner or Park Ward, or even in New Jersey, they were called coach builders, and they would build the bodywork on the car. There was a ton of this, not only Rolls-Royce, but Auburn, Duesenberg. All of those were coach built cars. And you had few manufacturers building the actual mechanical components, and then you had coach builders. And now here we are 100 years later, almost to the day, talking about we're getting back into the coach building process. You can buy these chassis from this OEM supplier. All the suspension is there, the steering is there, the software is there, and you can put whatever body you want on it. And it's just making it even easier to have your own automotive brand if you happen to have a couple extra zeros on your income and feel the need to spend it somehow.
Yeah, and it makes me think what Jose Pontes has said several times, which is that, a lot of people assume there will be fewer and fewer automakers as we transition to EVs, and he assumes the opposite, that there will be more brands, more automakers, because they don't need the engine IP of Volkswagen or of GM or Porsche or whatever. There's not so much built on the IP of hundreds or decades or 100 years of engine development. And so it'd be easier for someone to say, hey, I'm going to buy a CATL chassis and put my design on top, and boom, I'm an automaker. And so I don't know, I don't really have an opinion on this, because I can see pros and cons with both arguments, and it's such a complicated industry. But this is definitely the kind of thing that makes that easier. It's like so say, a company from Zimbabwe is like, I'm going to become an automaker. I'm going to buy this CATL chassis and put my design on top, and boom. And yeah,
that's right.
We talked about Lee Mega having super fast charging. I'm not sure if they're using CATL, but probably they are. So yeah.
I mean, I don't know of anybody else that has a C5 battery in production right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's CATL's sort of, they're making all the big deals. So this is something Volkswagen UK developed. Well, I'm not sure if it's outside of the UK. Maybe it's in other European markets, but they have 4 tools here: a range simulator, charging time simulator, a running cost simulator, and the overall car comparator tool. And you put in all the factors, all the different assumptions that you need to figure out how far a car will drive, how long it will take to charge. And I like that they've really gone into the detail of it. So you really are putting all the critical factors in. You're choosing your model first, wheel size, how much you're driving in the city versus a motorway versus a country road, which is quite common in the UK, the temperature, and then it's telling you how far you drive. And it's like, so if you modify these, you get 247, go to 257 or 267 or 210, whatever. And so it really helps people. I mean, everybody knows the 2 questions everybody asks you when they find out you have an electric car is, how long does it take to charge? How far does it go? And so this is a way to show, well, it depends, in a really useful, it's simple for the user, but it's obviously complicated in the back end because there's all these different factors. But it's really, really can show people before they get into an EV how these different factors affect their range and their charging. So the charging simulator is similar, that you have different options. It might be a bit difficult for someone who's just like got the basic question and doesn't know the answers to these things. Like, I don't know the answer to some of these things, but if you're able to like spend a little time and play with it and figure it out, I think it can be really useful for understanding what you're getting into when you get an EV, which should help a lot to retain and just to have happier EV drivers who know what to expect, without having to go through months of real world trial and error to figure this stuff out. So I think it's really, really handy, just a really great tool. Here's the price. This one you can compare to, or on the here you can compare to all different types of vehicles, whether different EVs or different non-EVs. So you have a lot of, then they've also got a bunch of short videos on different things to help people learn how to do stuff or how stuff works with EVs. So I think it's really great stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the most important thing about buying EVs is understanding how they're going to fit into your lifestyle. I think if you can't visualize and easily see how an EV fits into your life, it's going to be really hard to part with your money on it. So I think any tool that properly sets expectations is going to be, tremendously helpful. Just a quick note on the CATL comment that we were having before. Yeah, Li Auto definitely uses CATL's batteries. So we talk about the Li Auto Mega and the MP9. That's the only company that's making those batteries.
You gave me that chat. You want to just read that out? That's
I can do that. It says Li Auto said its Mega multi-purpose vehicle MPV with water drop shaped front design is to be equipped with 800-volt charging architecture and Chinese battery giants CATL's latest Qlin batteries. That is direct from Reuters. So we have confirmation that is in fact the battery pack that Li Auto is using.
Yeah, good job. Nice. Yeah. So anything else on the? I mean, I think
my only concern here, honestly, is that Volkswagen has proven over the years that it's not particularly good at software development and design. So I worry that this is a little bit confusing and doesn't really answer some correct questions, or some more meaningful questions. That might be because I'm not European, and these are a lot of questions that focus on the European experience, especially the UK experience. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll release this in the US and it'll make a lot more sense to me. Who knows?
I mean, I think it's really useful. I mean, I should know, these are screenshots from all different pages. I just
correct
them all together. But yeah, I think my concern is that people won't find it, people won't see it, so they won't actually use it before having an EV. But yeah, hopefully they do. It's the kind of education that people need to have. And
yes,
we talked a lot about people getting into EV rental cars and being unhappily surprised, not knowing certain things. So I think it's the kind of thing like that you should have a little tutorial if you're renting an electric car, I think, to be like, to at least something even a little more simplistic than this, but just something to understand what affects your range and your charging and stuff. But yeah, this is not EV, but this is just so cool. So we'll just mention it. This world's largest floating solar power plant is taking shape on a hydropower plant. Like, look at that. That's awesome. And floating solar has been a really fast growing, and that's in Indonesia, fast growing part of the industry in the past decade. And just, it's a great option. So it's really good to see a big project like that popping up. Well, let's actually go, before we do those rundowns, we have the big Ford news. Ford F-150 Lightning has got big sales in November, 100% increase from last year, 4,400 EV trucks.
Yeah, I think this is interesting, right? Because one of the biggest conversations going on right now in the dealership space is quote unquote, EV sales are down. I think that's a change in understanding. I think that's that is vibes, not data, right? So the vibe used to be that if you had an EV coming your way, it was pre-sold and you had pre-sold it for several $1,000s above sticker, and people were going to be clamoring to get it. The thing, things change, the market changed. There are more EVs now. There are EVs on the lot. There are EVs on the lot for several days. So people are having to negotiate prices on them. So there's a sense from the dealer level that, hey, the demand for EVs is down because they're not all pre-sold. Obviously, that's not how it works. The industry has operated on 90 to 120 day supply of full-size pickup trucks and vans and commercial vehicles for the last 50 years at the minimum. So none of this is really new. It's only new if you have a really myopic point of view and have an agenda that you're trying to promote. The reality is EVs continue to increase their market share. EV sales continue to outpace internal combustion sales, and demand for Lightnings is apparently at an all-time high, considering they just had a record month and don't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. Keep in mind, one of the new changes to the federal tax rules, not only are you going to be able to get a $7,500 at the point of sale tax credit if you wait until January, but it is also going to be easier than ever to claim vehicles weighing more than 6,000 pounds bought or leased through your company as company vehicles. So the F-150 Lightning is not going to have a bad year next year. That's my prediction. And apparently Jim likes it too. To me, honestly, the story here that's most interesting is the fact that Jim Farley is still on X when just about every other major company has abandoned the hellscape that Twitter has become.
Yeah, he's got a funny kind of approach of like a friendly competitor approach to Tesla and Elon. Like he's not, there's a lot of CEOs just, they won't mention Tesla, they won't mention Elon unless they're absolutely forced to, like twist their arm 5 times and then finally say something about it. And then some are like, well, not these days really about combative or very, but he's playfully competitive with like sort of more the old school vehicle kind of one-upmanship, you know, kind of like we're better than you know, or we're better than Ram because blah blah blah, we're better than Tesla because, you know, blah blah blah. But then also is quite friendly and like I think he's trying to appeal to Tesla. I think he sees like, okay, if we're friendly with Tesla, maybe we'll get a lot of those Tesla guys who want an electric truck and don't want a Cybertruck. I don't know. Or it's just naturally how he is. He's just a nice guy. He's cool. I don't know. I've talked about this many times, but I just have much higher expectations for Lightning. Like I'm happy they're having record sales. 100% agree with you. Like on you know, backlog sales not like you can't compare backlog sales to natural, you know, natural cadence of sales when the backlog has been cleared out. And I think that's what's been done too much. But this is just over 50,000 Lightnings a year. That is like the low end of what this truck should be at, in my opinion. I mean, I think they should be like 150 a year, 150,000 a year. I think it just takes time, and it's going to take more time with this conservative market to warm up to it. I see them on the road a lot. I'm happy they have the headlight design they have, because then I can recognize them from the front. I'm like, oh, there's a Lightning. Oh, there's a Lightning. And I think it looks really cool. So I sort of feel like people will see it and be like, what's that new Lightning? Like, I mean, what's that new F-150, I should say. What's that F-150 with those cool headlights? You know, I think F-150 owners will recognize the headlights and be like, oh, is that the new F-150? What is that? And then they'll find out it's electric and be like, huh, maybe I'll think about it. I just think it's a slower market to adopt EVs, but I feel like the Lightning, it's good that it's out there. It's slowly accumulating sales and recognition and all that. I just have much higher expectations for where it will be and where it should be in the market. So I hope it'll ramp up to 3 times as much before too long. I am very curious what sales will look like now that the Cybertruck, more details are out on the Cybertruck. I'm curious if it will have a flood of interest as people decide, okay, price is not what I was hoping, I'm going to go with a Lightning. Or okay, nothing blows me away with the range of the Cybertruck. Or, you know, maybe Lightning sales would dip because people are like, oh, the Cybertruck's finally here and I really want that power, that design, whatever. I just don't really see it from that market where, I mean, taking a step back, like almost every pickup truck looks similar to me. Like whether it's from Chevrolet, Ram, Ford, I know they have differences, but overall, there's not dramatic variance in how they look. So there's a kind of like, you have to fit a kind of mold to be in that market and to sell well. And like every truck that's not in that mold is a niche seller. So I sort of feel like it's tougher to pull people away from that market than probably a lot of people think, I think.
I have a take on
that's
this.
not a question, but that's the end of my.
No, it's not a question, but I think real quick on this, there's a reason that pickup trucks have stayed with the live axle suspension design. There is a very good reason why pickup trucks continue with the body on frame design with the separate modular construction of a cab and a bed. There are good reasons for all of this. And again, Tesla buyers are not car people. They're not expected to understand this. From the emails and comments I've gotten over the last 3 days, they certainly don't understand it, whether they're expected to or not. So I don't think it's going to matter. I think that Tesla buyers are going to continue to be Tesla buyers. I think the people that are attracted to this idea of tech and newness for the sake of newness, and who are susceptible to the kind of hype and advertising and marketing that Elon puts out there, conversations like, oh, this is the first vehicle to have, steering by wire. No, it's not. It's a branding exercise. This is the first vehicle to have an exoskeleton. It's not a stressed member. You could make this car out of fiberglass, plastic, plywood. It's not going to change the dynamics of the vehicle. It just doesn't matter. If you're susceptible to that kind of hype, nothing but the Cybertruck is going to do. If you're actually trying to run a business and manage a fleet, that Cybertruck reveal and announcement and final specs, and especially the wait time, is not going to be what you're after. You're going to make a beeline to Ford, especially knowing that the Silverado is being delayed a year. This is the only place you can buy right now.
Well, I think it's a bit of broad brush on who Tesla buyers are, because there's millions of them now.
And
so
that's
there's
fair.
There's a lot of supercar guys who are now Tesla owners. There's a lot of people who never knew anything about cars, just tech people. And now there's a lot of mainstream buyers who are Tesla owners. Like they're not car people, they're not tech people, they're not following Elon, they don't care about any of it. They just found out it's a good vehicle and they got one. This seems to be the main current buyer, in my opinion. With the Cybertruck, that market's not there yet. Like it's certainly not the mainstream buyer market. Like it's hard to see the Cybertruck buyer as something beyond the initial Tesla market, which is who I think you're referring to, which is like the tech guys who follow Elon real closely. And
I think it's that. I don't think there is a quote unquote normal buyer for the Cybertruck. I think
that's what I'm saying. Right now, the interest is just that part of this Tesla market. And I'm not really confident it gets to those other parts like the Model Y and the Model 3 have.
I think we're in agreement. Yeah, we're in agreement. Where I think the normals can buy a Model 3.
I'm at a wait and see part, but I would not put money on it, because what I was saying about the trucks, and then if it came out with dramatically better range, dramatically lower price, I could see it, but it didn't. It came out with same ballpark range and price as the other trucks. The power thing, that made Tesla what it is with the Model S, like beating everything on the drag strip. That era has been around for so long. Like, it's not new that a Tesla is super quick and the Cybertruck is super quick and powerful. Is not, like, maybe that will appeal to a lot of truck buyers, but I mean, the Lightning has a lot of power too. So it's not the same, but I just don't see it as being the differentiator that we've had in the past. So I don't know, but I'm really curious to see how the market evolves, because I'm not a truck person, so I don't know. Maybe a lot of truck guys will find their way to the Cybertruck, just like a lot of car people found their way to the Model 3, and a lot of crossover people found their way to the Model Y. It's just a whole different experiment. So I don't know. We'll see. We can move on. Do you have any more comments on it, or so you mentioned the Silverado is delayed a year?
Yeah, which again doesn't matter, because the Silverado has the same problem that the Cybertruck has, which is the bed and the cab are presented as a single component. So you cannot easily put a tow body or a stake bed or a flatbed or a utility body or a tool body or a telehandler or anything like that. You can't upfit it in the way that you can upfit a conventional truck. Right now, if you're looking for something electrified, your only option as a fleet manager to something that is going to replicate the abilities that you're currently used to is going to be the Lightning. And coming next year, the new Ram Charger 1500 plug-in hybrid, which I think is going to sell.
Yeah,
I think that thing's going to sell like hotcakes, man. That's a hot truck. That
I agree.
It may not be the most environmentally sound option. In fact, I think it's not. That said, it is what this market has been asking for, which is a plug-in hybrid extended range that they just don't have to worry about it. And this is going to give them that.
Yeah, I mean, let's be frank, like crossovers and cars, you need them for around town driving, commuting, and if you road trip, if you don't fly, some road tripping. With trucks, people are looking to do more. They're looking to haul stuff, they're looking to tow stuff, they're looking to do heavy work. Of course, there's a lot that are just suburban, you know, style machines, whatever. But the market demands more flexibility and more range, I think, and it's been one of the challenges the Lightning has faced, I think, because I know people who have got a Lightning and they're like, I love it, but yeah, I can't tow something. Like if I go sit to another city a few hours away, like I'm having to make stops that I can't make with it or whatever. It's just not. And I think the plug-in hybrid model, which people have said for years, you know, the Volt, if that had been transferred to bigger vehicles, could have been a big hit. I think that could be a huge hit with people who are looking for an efficiency boost, an efficiency bump, electric driving around town, and then easy, no stress, long distance hauling and stuff. But yeah, I think. What about the Rivian? Like the Rivian fits in there as like.
No, Rivian's the same thing. It's the body and the bed and the cab are one piece. You can't take the bed off and put a utility body or a work body on there. That severely limits the ability of contractors, fleet managers, campuses to put that thing to work.
Well, Jennifer Senspo wrote about this right after the Cybertruck came out, and a lot of people.
Oh yeah, and she was a great piece.
Yeah, a lot of people poo-pooed her article, but it's stood the test of time. I think it's really important point. Last story here. We have some sales updates, but you can just go to CleanTechnica. Go to CleanTechnica.com/
Just go read it. You'll be fine.
EV-sales, and that's it. And you can find all those sales reports. But yeah, just great stuff. The same month after month, these markets doing well. The last story here from you is this BYD story, and I haven't even got this at the last minute. So
this is really quick. Look, it's a giant, absolutely massive transport vehicle designed and manufactured by BYD for the purpose of moving 7,000 cars at a time. If you think that BYD went to the trouble of designing and building this, and this is only the first one, to not sell cars into America, you are absolutely confused with how the planet and capitalism works. These things are coming. Get ready, kids.
So it's nothing about the actual. I mean, it says LNG powered. I guess better than.
It's got nothing to do. The only thing that this has to do with EVs is this is letting you know they're going to build a couple of these that can by itself bring 7,000 EVs into port in a single day. And they're going to build a couple of these. They are massively gearing up for massive levels of export for EVs.
I have to write about it now. This is really exciting. Yeah, and we've talked a lot about their approach to exporting. Their growth has been phenomenal, like Tesla's, and it's the path forward to continue that phenomenal growth is exporting to more and more markets. It's entering South America. We've talked about that more. Other markets, other developing markets, also, you know, Europe and the US. We've also talked about how it does a lot of vertical integration, and Tesla gets a lot of hype for its vertical integration, but BYD is possibly even more vertically integrated. And when you add this on to it, I mean, how can you argue it's not? Like it's building its own vessels to transport thousands of vehicles across the ocean. Like this is extreme, supreme vertical integration. Just another case of BYD doing stuff quietly. No tweets about this. I don't know what he's doing on Chinese social media, but significantly. So I'm impressed. I mean, I'm very, and just as a reminder too, BYD only produces plug-in vehicles. So
That's right.
Plug-in hybrids and full electrics. So it's only
That's right.
transporting plug-in vehicles. Is this the story you said was a big deal that we had to talk about, or was it the F-151?
Oh, it was this.
Oh, you see, I left it for, I thought it was the lightning one. But yeah, no, I have to write an article. If you're not going to, I have to write an article about this. And
No, you have to do it. This is your beat. You always talk about global stuff.
BYD's on my beat. I love it. This is exciting. So thanks for finding this and sending it along. Have a good day. Cheers. Have a good week.
Peace.